So welcome, welcome. This is our first of 4 teleseminars. Welcome all you WIFTY members. I'm hoping someday to have an excuse to come and visit every country that you're joining us in, if only to say thank you for the confidence that you're showing in this broadcast. And without further ado, I just want to say again how honored I am to be a member of this organization. And as I say, I was very proud that I won the second most Bringer In of Members award of new members, because I really do think that this is a unique organization which has really set a new standard for how we women help each other in the business world, and I am very proud to be a part of it. So without further ado, let's just get a little few guide rules down. Now the first one is I'm not much of a lecturer, I'm a teacher, so we're going to have a very short introductory discussion here, and then hopefully all of you have downloaded this book, which I think may appears upside down, yes. It's called The 4 Magic Questions of Screenwriting, and it's my new book. And even though this is a basic screenwriting class, I will tell you in a moment why we're using my book as opposed to any other of the texts that you perhaps are familiar with. This is a 4-part class. The class is about 40 minutes long, and then we're going to take questions. We have a pile of questions that have been pouring in all day, but that does not mean that you shouldn't send us more. I will say also that if you want more information, the website to go to is www.4magicquestions. Sorry, I'm misinformed. www.screenwritermagic.com, and that has a lot of information. Otherwise, you can search us out on the web. So in this 4-part seminar, at the end of it, you will know how to structure a screenplay. Okay, that's a bold claim, but I'm going to say to you that I have done it in less than 2 hours with people, and the reason why is I'm going to backtrack and say that I myself am a screenwriter and a novelist, and I had to teach myself how to do this, which was really a nightmare. I'm my own worst student, and then as I progressed in my work, more and more people came to me who had a dream of writing a screenwriter. I'd always worked with screenwriters, but this is people who had a dream of writing screenwriting, but really didn't know how to get started. And I realized, that for me, when I had been taught how to screenwrite, a lot of the information I gave was confusing and conflicting and all great. The difficulty was that how I personally synthesized it was hard, because there were a lot of conflicting pieces of information. So I'm going to try to start to teach you how to do a screenplay in a way that is simple and non-contradictory, and you will give me feedback. I'm going to assume that everybody here has probably read a screenwriting book, and so we probably have some basics, which I will review, but if I am being redundant, it's only because I am not able to sit in a live classroom and ask you questions like what do you know and what you don't know. So bear with me. Screenwriting. So let's get to work. Now you have your book. My book is called The 4 Magic Questions of Screenwriting. It's called this because in my writing method, I discovered that there was a simple way to figure out how to structure a screenplay story. William Goldman, the great screenwriter, was once asked, what do you need to know about writing a screenplay that would get sold to Hollywood? And he said, you need to know 3 things: structure, structure, and structure. Now, of course, he is being a little bit facetious in that statement, but not so far off the mark. And what I discovered after 12 years of teaching is that screenwriting is really a hybrid, and screenwriting is a combination of having to kind of write for a market, because the screenplay that you're writing is not an piece of art in itself. It is part of a larger work called a movie. And what you are really doing is you are writing, if you are doing your work properly, a movie on paper, which can then be handed off to producers, directors, casting agents, and stars, and crew people. And what has been conveyed in that document is a single vision, which somehow, through the help of a lot of collaborative people, efforts, gets on the screen. So the first thing is that screenplay writing is not about fiction in the sense that it's not about finding immortal words that will live on forever. It's about finding words that accurately convey the vision that you, the writer, have. So that's the first thing that is different perhaps in how we're going to approach this. So screenwriting is more about seeing the images you have in your mind and finding the correct words to convey them and the correct structure to put your story in, rather than trying to write immortal prose. So we want to make that very, very clear. The second thing is that because we are in something called the movie business, or if you work in television, the television business, or if you work on the web business, what business means is that everything that gets produced is done so not only because of its artistic merits, but because the people involved believe that they can make money. And in order to make money, people have to know what they're buying. And there's a reason why, for example, in the wine business, there are basically two kinds of bottles. And there are wines that are named by the kinds of grapes. There's a particular coding system so that when you go to a wine store, you know what you're buying. Now, screenplays are the same way. As you know, when you look to see what kind of movies you want to see, if you like comedies, you can look at comedies. If you like horror movies, you can look at horror movies. And that is very important from the marketing end. But back to this idea that as in the same way that we're going to pick our grapes and make a bottle of wine, people who do that sort of thing have to kind of have a sense of what grapes to use and so on and so forth. And the difficulty is that if you try to design a piece of art for the marketplace, it will not be good because it will be flat, because art is not predictable. And one of the things about the movie business and why no one knows why anything is going to be successful is that it's this unique combination of art and commerce. And the more you try to put one before the other, the less successful you're going to be. So what I came up with, and what my new book is about this idea that movies, uniquely, are about how a character makes a journey and has difficulties. The way that I like to think about it, which gives me a clear mental image, is that I think of a big arrow, and at one end of the arrow stands my hero or my heroine, and at the other end is a big pot of gold, or whatever the goal is, the romantic interest or whatever, and that's the character's goal. And that everything that happens in that hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is about that main character's attempt to achieve his or her goal. And that the way that you make decisions is in part based on whether the actions and the characters you select help or hinder that character's journey. And further, that by defining a clear arc for your main character, and hopefully for your villain as well as the other characters, you have started to work in a way that, if not overtly commercial, at least is going to keep you in the realm of a basic structure where you can be sure that that you have this combination of knowing where to have things happen in your story and a character that is strong enough.